Hello there, and welcome to A Craft Evolved. My name is Raymond, and this is with me, next to me to my right, stage right. I have my man. What's your name?
Yo, what's going on? This is Jeff Gorsica. I'm back again. We're back again.
We are back again. You see, because what I just want you all to know that we are on two different continents right now. We are literally making this on two different continents. Now we're co-hosting this. We are co-producing this. Jeff and I are working on this together, and we are in literally two different time zones.
6 hours apart, man.
6 hours apart. So it's
wild.
Nighttime here, afternoon time there. Everything is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that out there right when we started. What are we going to talk about today, Jeff? What is it we're going to talk? You got to let it all hang out, don't you? You got to let it all hang out.
You got to show your cards.
Exactly.
We're on episode 6 now. So but congratulations to us. I'm just going to call episode 6.
I'm going to pat myself.
Milestone.
Let me pat myself on the back and enjoy.
It's well deserved. Episode 6.
Episode 6.
And today we were talking about doing an episode about monologues. A lot of our viewership, and I'm sure people who are clicking on our videos are people who just want to know about how to get into the craft of acting, or maybe how to work on the craft of acting. So today we wanted to do a monologue episode.
We want to talk about monologues because monologues can be the great bane of one's existence, can't they?
Oh, yeah. And they shouldn't be, though. They should actually, because it's such an integral part of the process of getting a job, you should find joy in it.
Exactly. And then allow me to post, let's post our research question for the day. By the end of this, I hope you enjoy, and I'm, not you, Jeff sitting next to me. You listening and watching right now enjoy and are excited about monologues as much as I am, and as much as I'm sure Jeff is, because I personally love monologues. I love finding them. I love working on them, and I love performing them. I love doing them. So I hope this is for you.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we want to ask first? What should be like the first kind of thing that we should ask ourselves? Or what should we be talking about first is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's got to be how to choose the monologue.
How to choose.
You know what I mean? How do you find that right one for you that's really going to showcase yourself?
Definitely.
I think that's talking point number 1.
Numero uno. All right, so I think we should just dive right into it. How do you choose a monologue? And this is like, once again, this is being the craft of all. Jeff and I talking about and exploring this craft in ourselves and the way we do it. So let me ask you, Jeff, not how does one choose a monologue? How do you choose a monologue?
Yeah. Well, I almost want to start off with how I used to choose them so we can see how far I've come. And I'll tell you what I used to do is go to those 200 monologues for males books, and I would just like skim through it and find any time period like between the 90s and 2000s. I would be like, yep, I'm going to find my monologue. I'm going to memorize this little short thing, and I'm done, baby. And what I have found is that there are better ways. There are much better ways. I think for me personally, the way that I find monologues is just consuming theater, whether it's reading plays or seeing plays. And I'm sorry, there's no other way. Yes, you can ask for advice from people. Oh, hey, teacher, what's a good monologue for me? Or you go to the drama bookshop or whatever, where you're getting your plays. Hey, sales employee, can you recommend a monologue for me? Like, that'll take you maybe to step 1, but like to truly find that one that gets you to shine and really showcases you got to be reading plays consistently. And I think seeing theater consistently, especially if it's new plays and new theater, you'll get new monologues that haven't been seen before and aren't tried and true, and everyone does them. And so that's a long way of just saying that you just got to consume theater to find those monologues. At least that's my experience.
You took the words right out of my mouth. And I think that this is something that we finally, it's interesting because I do a little bit of coaching on monologues. People come to me and they ask that exact question. So what monologue should I do? What should I do? And they get very frustrated, especially younger students, when I say, you need to find something that you want to do, right? You need to find something that you want to do. You need to find a monologue that's you're sitting in the theater and you look at that person and you say, "Oh my God, I can't take my eyes off what's happening here. I need to I need to find these words and I need to try to tell this story." Of course, that's not the answer a lot of people want to hear, because they want me to say, you are 5 foot something, your hair is colored yellow, and your eyes are colored green, and therefore you should pick monologue X, Y, and Z. And that's just not how you get a monologue to work. I mean, especially not when you can choose. As of late, like me personally, I'm very rusty on monologues because I keep getting things. People keep sending me words to say. And I realized just today, this is why I actually want, was like, let's just talk about something, monologues or something, because I was thinking about it today. And I'm like, I am so rusty monologue wise.
Oh, yeah.
Because I haven't read, I haven't seen theater, and things that used to excite me don't excite me anymore.
Yeah.
And I would never bring in a monologue today that I would bring in 2013 or 2014. I have a couple of, classics, golden oldies, but
yeah,
I think people got to realize that it's something that constantly is evolving. And it's something that reflects where you are. This is part of the beauty of a monologue. How to choose a monologue? Yeah. Where am I right now as an actor? What interests me? What makes me excited? What words do I read that excite me? Like right now, I read I read more contemporary Norwegian theater that's written kind of out of context, and it's all taken apart and it's deconstructed and it's in this weird way. While 5 years ago, I'd read that and I'd be like, no way, I could never do that play. I don't even understand these words. And now I'm reading them and I'm like, oh crap, I want to do this. I want to tell this story.
Yeah.
So definitely see things and keep understanding that you will evolve along with your monologues. That I think is a how to choose, to choose a monologue.
Dude, and you nailed it, man. Because, like, who knows you better than you?
Yeah.
Like, and you know what you're into. Let's say you're really into political theater. That may be new for you. And when you were in school, you weren't into that. And suddenly you have this new passion that you can really bring life to. Well, maybe you should go get out and get a monologue from Lee Blessing's Two Rooms now, where it wouldn't have flown 5 years ago because you weren't passionate about it then, or at least the genre, that and monologues shouldn't be just this checklist on the piece of paper that is the actor, right? They should and again, you nailed it. It should be something fun, and it should be a way to express yourself. And again, who knows you better than you? Like how silly you can be on your best day. You know how the darkest place you can go to in theater also on your best day. Like, it's like, let's go there.
Yeah.
Is the guy in the bookstore who you're asking for a recommendation from, is he going to know that he just met you? So it is a process of kind of like self-reflecting and being like, who am I and what am I into?
Yes.
But I will say this, and I'm almost, again, I always counter what I say, but like there is something to your type and what people see right when you walk in the room. And so maybe knowing what that stranger, what that guy in the bookstore thinks of you, that can actually help you. You know what I mean? That can be like, you know what, man, you're tall, you're athletic. Why don't you go look at this play that stars this football player who's like going through a crisis? Why don't you go look at that? That's valuable.
It is. And I'm really glad. I'm really glad you brought that up, that you put that in there, because it has a value for sure. That someone who has no idea who you are, they just, because that's what happens when you walk into the room. These people have seen paper and they have no idea who you are. So doing something that kind of is in line with what you read as, per se, walking into the room makes sense to do for sure. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I just thought of that too. And it does. It's like you said, we're countering ourselves. Do what you love to do, but also think about but it doesn't have to be. I mean, I agree. It doesn't really have to be either or, because you can still take in what these people say to you, and it's valuable. Like you said, it does have value because it's how I am seen.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you can still go, okay, that's a direction. I don't need to do that one role from that one football player. I could guess I could read it, but if I don't love the play and I don't love the story, then it's not for me. And I think a lot of people do that. And this might segue us into how to practicing a monologue, but a lot of people, I think, will pick something that they think fits. They think it looks good on them. It's like a pair of shoes. But then you
Oh,
wear
for
them and
sure.
they end up being super uncomfortable. And this is where an analogy just exploded out. Lightning struck my brain.
Lightning
Yeah.
struck my brain.
It's the same thing as wearing getting those shoes because they look really good on the outside and you put them on and they're super uncomfortable and you end up having to wear them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the worst thing in the
Yeah.
world, walking into that room with something that you're like, why is this not working?
Yeah.
And basically it's because maybe it's, something somebody told you should do and it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
You know what I
Like
mean?
that one, you were 18, that one workshop you took, the lady said, you nailing this role. And so then you're like, this is me. Like, and now I'm
Yeah.
only using this monologue because it worked so well. I got
Yeah.
such praise. You've now pigeonholed held yourself.
It's dangerous, isn't it,
Yeah.
in a way, to get complacent with your monologues. And I think that might be a part of what like our mentors were trying to give to us, because I remember also you saying that, I mean, we us learning that, you need to stay updated. We've had people come in and I remember it even be like, you need to have a list of so and so many monologues at any given moment that you could just throw into the wind. I've personally, like I said, I've not been in every single casting office in the world, but the casting people I've met so far, none of them, and I'm talking about agents, managers, casting people as well, none of them have been like, hey, can you do monologue right now?
Yeah.
Hey,
I think one time it's happened to me.
you
And
do. Can
I've been
you can
on
you
many.
can you do that monologue, Jeff? Just you got anything? You got a monologue? Do a monologue.
Listen, we're here.
We're
Why don't you
here,
just
right?
do
Just
the
do some
monologue?
acting. Just do some
Like,
acting.
no. I think if you get in the room, they like you. Usually, they've seen something. Usually, I don't want to say don't be prepared, but
And like I said, yeah. Well, in every, I mean, it's not like it's don't be prepared, but I think that fear also is something that over for me personally, it overcame me very much. So I got swallowed by it. Like I'm never going to learn 30 monologues in a week. I'm never going to be able to remember that Shakespeare monologue when I'm sitting in that casting director's office in 6 months. And I just, it's part of what removes the flavor for me of monologues. It was not until I found that joy. And I think that's what they were trying to give us there as well. In what maybe to me was a roundabout way.
Dude, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
you can have 20 or 30 monologues, but you need to be, like you said, reading the plays and watching the movies and watching the plays that give you those monologues.
Oh yeah, dude. And I was gonna ask, so how many monologues do you have offhand?
Right now?
Yeah, right now. And I know they're not polished, but like,
oh yeah.
How about when you were like really hustling auditioning? How many did you make sure you had?
6, maybe 7.
Yeah, dude. And I think mine's the same. I think I had 4 in rotation that were modern, and I had 2 classical. So
that's it.
Something like
and
that.
At this point, if you were to ask me right now how many monologues you got going on, I'd say 5, 4, 5, 6,
I'd probably
4.
say 3 right
We're
now.
Close.
That I feel really confident with. Yeah. And I could even use another one that's new, to be honest.
Exactly. This is another reason why I'm like, we should do this episode, because I'm learning about myself so much right now. Is that like you I don't know, we got to in this place, and it kind of snuck up on me a lot. It really snuck up on me. And I think it was because of the pandemic, things are closed down. You don't have, but I have access to this space that I can go work in. And I went down to work in this space, and I was like, I'm going to just be this actor and blow the rust out of the machine and all these things. And I'm down there doing my work, and I'm like, I don't remember any of these words. They don't excite me anymore. If somebody asked me to do one right now, I would just not give a shit. I'd be like, I could do the words, you know what I mean? But it's
gonna
just
be flat though.
Yeah, super flat. It doesn't make sense. And it's this wave. You just get back into it. And then, for perfect example, I was asked to prepare a monologue for a film audition last fall at some point, just like 2-3 months ago. I don't even remember that now. I don't remember it. Like I prepared it. I remember feeling really good about it too.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it was from? You know why I felt good about it? Because it was from the tiger.
Oh,
no, Bengal. Yeah. No, not the tiger. The Bengal tiger at the Baghdad Zoo.
Baghdad Zoo.
Yeah, the one that the freaking Robin Williams played that role. Of course, I was excited about it, and then I did it, and I was. But even then, that's like what was that? November. That's 3 months. Not even 3 months, and I'm not really super interested in it anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but isn't that? Can't we like spin that positively though? Shouldn't monologues be? I'm passionate, so I do it fully, but then I'm not passionate about it, and I just put it over here, and I take it off and I dust off when I need it. But like, if I don't have the passion behind it, I just don't use it. I would hope that's a positive way to think about it.
You know what? I love that idea. You know why? How do you practice a monologue, Ray? Let me tell you.
How do you practice? Oh boy.
Yeah, I do a show. I make a show.
That's a great answer. I wouldn't have thought of that.
I
That's
get
a
a
great answer,
I
actually.
make a show. I flesh the crap out of my character. I do the
Yeah.
work. I roll around on the floor like a boneless cat. I
Yeah.
do all the work. You know what I mean? I try as hard as I can to run it by people whenever there's somebody to run it by.
Yeah.
Just to get it under your skin, because in front of people it's always different. So you do it, like in front of people. And I don't even always ask for feedback. I don't even always do that. Sometimes I'll just be like, I need you to see this. And I don't want to hear what you have to say. And maybe that's really super selfish and it's a douchebag thing to do, but I just need to get it out. I just need to do it. And then I do it and I work on it and turn it into a show. And I say, okay, I've been given 2 minutes in the room. I have a 2-minute performance. I have a 2-minute theater show that I'm going to do in that room. And that's how I work on it. I work on it literally as if it's a theater production that I have 2 minutes to do, or 3 minutes, or 4 minutes, or however minutes it is. And I think, first of all, it alleviates a lot of the nervous energy that is the audition situation, because often you go in there and you're like, it's different. It's a job interview. It's an audition. But bottom line, I'm showing up with my prep. I'm doing my work, and I'm going to go in there. I'm going to drop this monologue the way I worked on it. This is my performance. This is my show. I'm lucky now. How many times do we get to work every single year as actors? You know what I mean? Every time I walk into an audition room, I think, hey, I'm going to get to work. I'm going to get to do a show.
Yeah.
And then I do the show. And usually, and this is something that unless it's like unless it's a cattle call, usually the director or whoever's in the room will be like, hey, would you try that again? Do this. And you get even more because you get to really work on it. You get to dig in and do some extra stuff, and you get to play around with it and then throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean, it's so simple of a process. And I think that's why it also works. It's like, take it as seriously as you can behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then it's like doing it at the audition. That's nothing. I did it in front of my colleagues, and they know me. They're going to see me every day. And then this audition person, well, I'll see them every once in a while. So it's like, don't worry, I'll just do my work in there and then step out.
Yeah.
But to put yourself in a high pressure situation, take it seriously and build the play for that 2 minutes. Dude, that's brilliant, man. Dude. In fact, I need to do that more. I don't do that enough.
But often I think a lot, some of it's like, because I remember seeing, especially, I'd see actors show up and just kind of know the immediately just get this feeling of, okay, I know the words, I know the part, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do the audition, then it's going to be done. But then to me, it becomes this half-ass thing. Like, I didn't train to do that. You know what I mean? I don't know how that's going to turn out. I can't stamp that with my work because I haven't done my work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to, and even if it tanks and it's wrong, and we've all done many more auditions than we've gotten jobs. I mean, my percentage is pretty damn low especially after 2016 when I became professional.
Dude, of course.
But the thing is, I can walk into the room, do my work, and leave and say, this is what I have to give you. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I gave you what I have to give you. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine just learning the words, just pounding them in and just being like, this is something that fits my type, and then doing it and leaving. I don't feel so good about that. I don't know.
Because it's an opportunity to stretch the acting muscle too. Mm-hmm. So you're right. It's almost, you're doing yourself a disservice. God, I'm going to get really hippie here, but like a disservice as an artist to go in there and not do your work, because it is an opportunity
for sure
to stretch that muscle.
For sure.
For me, I'll say this last closing thought on it real quick too. For as far as practicing, I actually like to say it in as many ways as I can. And that include, and what I literally mean that in, like, I'll say it really slow, my monologue. Yeah. Then I'll say it as fast as I can. I'll whisper it. Mm-hmm. I'll do it as I go on a run. Like I'll run and I'll like say it to the beat of like me running and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll just say it in all these different ways. And I need to take your mindset, which is I want to do it as a performance actually before I even go into the audition room. I actually don't do that. And what I do is I get it in the space of like, I know it so well that when I go into the room, there's a certain element of autopilot. Yeah. So I'm not thinking about the words. I'm actually like just letting the words take me where I need to go. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's
That's
I
usually,
don't want to say a turn off my brain, but it's like the positive way of turning off your brain.
Yep. Being in it, just doing it. And that's what I think is, to me, the way I will work my monologues is, I don't want it to feel like going in the room is opening night.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Does that make sense? Like I want it to feel like, I want it to feel like show number 6 or 7 or 8, where you're like comfy, but still on your toes.
Yeah.
And you can you're still kind of playing with it. It hasn't solidified. That's where I want it to be,
It's like, it's not that you don't want to feel like you're like, getting the rust off of you, and oiling up everything. Like you want to actually be like, no, dude, like I'm ready. Or this is show 6.
Yeah.
Shows 1 through 5 are great.
They were
the
awesome.
reviewers are gone by now. Like I'm so ready to perform this.
Just number 6. And that's where that's what I wanted to feel like when I go in the room.
Yeah.
And just to get like a bit of a, academia in there, I read up on Meisner talks about this. He has perished.
Yes, that is true.
How it is, you learn these things by rote, right? You learn words so that you can do them upside down, backwards in your sleep, on the moon, so that in any given circumstance, you're available to impulses that may come in, right?
Yes.
Now, subscribing to that, to me, like it's in the audition room, that's a very interesting place to be. And I did it once but kind of by accident. How I just was so stressed out about something else than the monologue, than the actual audition. Going into the room and making it about what was happening in the room, it was probably one of the best auditions I ever did. I didn't get it. I didn't get anything close to it, but I felt really damn good about it. Because like you said, everything is by rote. You know the words, they're just in you, and then you walk in there and the circumstances of what's happening in the moment fill you up, and this thing happens.
Yeah.
And that's show number 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it totally is, man. There you go. That's on show 1.
That's show number 6.
Oh, man. Dude, that reminds me too. One time I went to an audition. I did it my way. And I was done. I felt great. And the guy behind the table was like, dude, great work. Actually, this character we're looking for has more of a vibe of he's kind of an intellectual, but he doesn't realize that he has a certain power over women. He's kind of a fop in a way, if you may. And I instantly was like, oh, let me take that again and give you that vibe. I got that. He was like, please. And I did it again. And because I knew this monologue, the words were not an issue at all. It was so ingrained in me. The choice to now add that tone was smoother than anything, because again, I didn't go into the audition room planning all my beats, planning my facial expressions. I planned the words. I simply knew them better than anything.
Yes.
So I could then take the note and embody it fully, so
by rote. And that's something that I think I think text in general is a big sore thumb for us as actors, because some of us will look at a page once and the words will just be in your body and you'll just be like, hey, this is easy.
Yeah.
Some of us are better at learning words by heart than others. Some of us, paraphrase more, other things like that. And it's this sore thumb where as soon as like you kind of try to put that Band-Aid on and ask somebody to say, you just learn the words word for word. It seems cheap. It's like, well, it's not just, my job's not only learning these words like in the right order.
Really be this easy?
You know what I mean? Is that it? Like if I learn all the words at once, and that's when I go, yes. And I say this to me, I say, Ray, okay, I say to myself, don't get pissed off about these words. Get them in your body. Get them out of the way. Because what have we learned? If it's one thing we learned about acting, the words are usually the least important thing, even though they are the most important thing. It's what we're not saying that's important. And that only shows when the words are out of the way. And especially in an audition, when you have a show that's 2 minutes long or 3 minutes long, you got to get everything, every last little drop of what's under those words. And that, in that sense, the words got to get out of the way. So that's, another one for our talking point here, how to practice monologue. Very, very hard. Just how to practice it. Just get those words in your body. And as soon as they're in there, then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's almost so simple that you would believe it would be something more complicated.
Well, yeah, and
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's this thing where I think it's a shame for me personally. For instance, it's a thing of shame because I've always had trouble learning words. by heart. And then at a point, I actually started. Worked on it, practiced it, and I got good at it. And I got to the point where was semi good at it. And then I got to the point where I'd learn the words by heart and I'd say them. And then I'd be really unsure because I'd learned them so well that I would be breathing them, like you say, during your run or whatever. First of all, I get in trouble when people weren't taking notes on my line readings. I get in trouble because they'd be like, "You didn't say the words." I was like, "I didn't say the words." And then I'd have a recording later. I'd be like, "Wait, I did say the words. Those were the exact words."
Yeah.
Or other things would be like, that didn't feel like, did I do it right now? Was it because I wasn't thinking about like the big grandiose scheme of things, the idea of how everything's supposed to be? I was just in it and I just did it.
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny how you get in your head about that, because like the truth is that the character in the moment is usually just like we are in life. We're talking to who's in front of us, and sure, we have what's going on underneath. But to think of like this macro image that we get in our heads about where you go into like, okay, my monologue takes place in this years that are divorced, and I have, and there's a war going on. It's like, sure, yes. But like in the moment, it really is as simple as like, I'm talking to this person.
Yeah, right now. That's it, right now.
It's so funny. It's so true, though.
Get the words out of the way, and what is it right now,
Yeah.
And that has to do with bouncing it off people. So speaking of how do you practice, bouncing it off others is so important, and not making it a big, huge, large thing. I tend to do this myself, where I'll get very precious and secret about something, and it'll be very hard to do the work for someone else, especially if it's a monologue I really like, because I'm afraid that I'm going to fuck it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to just give it to people. And sometimes I think I don't know if it's cool or not. People will have to call me out and let me know. But like, sometimes I don't want to hear feedback. I don't want to always hear feedback. I don't always want to hear your analysis of this, what you took in from observing it. I just need somebody in the room, a physical being, to take in the energy that I'm giving.
Yeah. Well, because once someone else is in the room, the stakes become higher for you.
Yeah.
How many times have you done a monologue by yourself and you just stop yourself 30 seconds in, and then you're like, let me take that again. It's like, when someone else is there, you better truck on through and finish that. You don't have the luxury of a restart. And that's why that's so important.
Exactly. And that first time, especially those first couple times before it's under your skin, it's a very important thing to do.
Yeah.
I think, especially, and I don't know, I can't speak for everyone. I speak for maybe at least myself and people I know who don't learn words well, or are very insecure about how they learn words. That's a very important step in the process, is to just give it to somebody.
Yeah.
And
I completely agree.
Sometimes you can ask about the feedback or what they see, and sometimes you just be like, please just watch this. I need to get it off my chest.
Yeah.
But
the last thought on practicing. Mm-hmm. Do you have any of Secret Ray tips on memorizing? Do you have any like little secrets you could share with us?
Secret tips for memorizing. Well, secret tips for memorizing. Yes. Tip one I use, and this is a tip. I don't ever start at the beginning. You see, what I do is I deconstruct the words. I just tear it apart. I'll start at the end, and then I'll do one sentence, and then I'll do the second to last, and then the last sentence, and then I'll do the third to last, and the second to last, and then the last, and then I'll work my way up about halfway in, and then I'll just jump to the middle, and I'll try to stuff those words down my throat, and you know what I mean, so that I don't end up in this spending a 3-hour session of learning the first 5 lines of a monologue and going back and being like, oh, I fucked up, I got to go back. I'll just deconstruct it, take it apart, because usually this is how my brain works, very deconstructed. So I put it in my brain now in a very deconstructed way. I know what the piece is about. I know what the person wants to say. I know what I need. I just need to make all these words fit in the right compartments. So I'll just take it apart.
I love that.
That's what I'll do. I could, because usually, you know how it happens. You learn the first page of your monologue really, really well, and then the rest is really shaky for a long time because you always go back.
Always that ending 30 seconds. Yeah.
Exactly. This the most nervous part of the whole thing. But if you start at the end, then hey, I know what's going to happen. So that's what I'll do. I'll start at the end and work my way up, because the meaning is there. I can give it meaning. It's just that I need to. I had to remove my immense respect for the text temporarily. Take it apart, find out what I wanted to say, and then, kind of put it back together. That works for me. I've always been like that ever since I was a kid. I had to take things apart to see how they work and then try to put them back together. So I guess learning text is no different. What's your secret? What is Jeff Gorsica's big secret tip?
Yeah. Well, first I'll just say that I love your technique, because it kind of it takes the monologue and makes it a little less precious. It is now yours to take apart
Yeah.
how you want. Like, it's because wouldn't we all think, okay, here are my words, must learn it. It's like, no, dude, it's yours now. And like,
Yeah.
learn that ending and then work backward. I love that, dude. For me personally, my technique is to go line by line and have an opinion on each line, and then how the line feeds into the next line. And I know this is not some like amazing revelation, but for me personally, to just try and learn the words, that doesn't work for me. To just run it, that helps somewhat. To have an opinion on each line.
Yeah.
That is what finally makes it stick. Like, to be or not to be, that is the question. Okay, to actually think what to be means, and to then now say it out loud with my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And then what about the next line got there from the line before?
Yeah.
That's how I learn it. And I don't think it's, I'm not saying this is some revelation or something, but it's like, if I don't have these opinions on my lines, they don't stick because they just become words.
Yeah.
And words are like numbers to me, and I'm bad with numbers.
Stringing it together. Yeah. You string them together. You string them together. And that's often, I notice where I usually falter. And I think a lot of people do. I notice this when I coach as well, is that people usually falter on thought changes. Yeah. That's usually where it happens.
To know why.
Yeah.
What led me to say that next thing? It's not just a list. It's not a list. No. It's what did I say that sparked something, or what opinion sparked this opinion? That also then I start to realize how genius a lot of writers are, where I'm like, this opinion at the end of the piece tied into this little one at the beginning. And I wouldn't have thought of that if I just tried to make this about the words. So it's almost like learning the opinions is the way I would.
That's a good, learning the opinions. That's really well put. And I think also it's interesting because, like you said, the text, the authors, finding out how genius it actually is. Because these people, they write these plays and they spend a really long time working on them. Maybe even longer than we spend telling the story.
Oh, yeah. They're probably good at what they do.
Yeah, really. And what I've always, sat with not always, but for the longest time, I've sat with this fear. Because there's a respect and there's fear, right? Now, I had this fear of deconstructing text, of taking anything apart, because it's the writer's holy words that they constructed and put together specifically. But then I changed it around, and like I said, I got to take it apart and make it my own. And when I put it, because it's like getting a machine. This is to me is the work on text on a monologue. It's like getting a machine that you have no idea how it works. And then you have to take the thing apart and learn every intricate detail of it and put it back together, just like you would in any other role in a play, right? And to do that, you have to have kind of not have a fear of that. Like, let's analogize to painting. Often one would say, especially in realistic theater, one would say, when you start your painting, you start with the base layer, so the block-in layer, which is, your general colors, and it's always the text. The text is always at the very bottom, and then you build your emotion and your actions and all these things on top of it. To me, it's the absolute other way around. You start working on the thoughts and the emotion and the diffuse, what am I? And then the closer you get to the text, the more detailed you become. The text is this thing that just and this is why I say, learn it by rote. Do all your crazy techniques to get that physically into your body, because the text ends up as the final outer detail layer. It's where you have your brightest whites and your darkest darks, you know what I mean? And your sharpest reliefs. That's just the end of it. You know what I mean? And I learning to not fear the playwright, but respect it instead, so that I can actually tell the story properly. That was a big deal for me when it came to monologues.
Yeah. And like, how common is it to say a monologue and like you don't stick to the words, but the message still comes across? And where I'm going with this thought is that just proves that learning your emotions and your opinions on the text first can get you where you need to go. It's then the extra spice of what the actual exact words are that will really make it shine to this level that maybe you didn't even think it could go. So it's like saying, we paraphrase when we start doing monologues, and then our teachers hound us. Oh, why you got to say exactly what it is? But you're like, but that, it sounds the same. But it's like the magic will come when exactly what that playwright said.
Yep, because they're the ones who sat there and they were the wordsmith. They were the one who sat there and just put those words in the smith.
Yeah. Dude, you nailed it, man. That resonates with me so fully, especially coming from, I'm the opinion guy. You know what I mean? Like, I like to learn the opinions of my character.
Yeah.
Nailed it, dude. Yeah.
For sure. So how, and this is another thing we've kind of talked about a little bit, but how do we know if the monologue works and doesn't work? You know, how do we know when it's done, when just chuck it? And we've talked about it a little bit throughout, but let's try to make a couple points of it.
Yeah. Because how easy is it just to say, like, I walked out of the room and I felt great, so I know it's working.
Yeah.
I so I can speak from my own personal experience when I know a monologue is working. I would say when I feel that the text has taken me on an emotional journey and helps and gets me into the room, and I feel like I can play a little bit. Like I could feel like if as I'm speaking, something that little impulse in your head comes along, and it's like, why don't you look over there, like, or say it to this person this way, or something. There's some little magic moment that happens, and if that is fresh and new, and then I finish my monologue, and then I'm just like feeling grounded, I'm feeling present, I know it has worked.
Yeah.
And so that's my experience of like, dude, the monologue flew today. The monologue was there. Like, so I'll wrap it up really tight. It's in a little bow. It's if I'm delivering my monologue and impulses are coming to me and they feel fresh. And then when I am done my monologue, I feel a sense of groundedness. I feel that I didn't force anything. I felt relaxed, and I felt the emotional journey happen. And that's how I feel that it's worked.
There you go. I'm gonna go over to the dark side then. Being on the dark half of the screen, I can be on the dark side because I'll talk a bit about what I feel like when things don't work. Yeah. Because it's a lot of what you're saying is it's about how it feels like when it works, and that's the way it is for sure. And then I have the other side of the coin, which is when it's not working. This is at least for me, and it might be recognizable for others. One of the things is a big red flag is I leave the audition room not remembering any feelings or thoughts, but only remembering physical things, just remembering certain physical things, just remembering like somebody's eyes or somebody's hair or the way that chair was set or anything. I usually leave when I even during or after, I'll be like, that wasn't good.
You just articulated a truth that I had known, but had never been able to put into words. And that is it, though.
Words. That's what
I walk out of the room and I was like, why do I remember the wall color? Like,
yes,
what
exactly.
am I doing? Yep. Like, you're right.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for with the Craft Evolved, man. Articulating these things, or at least attempting to articulate them. And another thing is often I don't feel my hands or my legs or my feet. I feel like this floating head in the room, and it's this thing that happens. I remember a couple of years ago happened on a very, very important audition. In the room, I could feel like I was this balloon head with no hands and no feet. I was remembering what was on the floor and on the wall, and I was listening to what was going on, but I wasn't really hearing what was going on. And I left the room and I was like, damn, that didn't work. You know, that did not work. That just doesn't work. And this was one of the profound things. And I'm going to kind of tie it into the Dunzo part, because that was work I had done for a long time. That monologue or that scene I did specifically, I'd been working on for a long time.
Yeah.
And I loved the play. I loved the scene. I loved the character. I love it with just every fiber of my being. I wanted to tell that story. But learning the hard way when it's time to let something go, that was like that. Before that audition was when I should have let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the signs were there, though. The signs were there. I didn't want to work on it. I didn't want to. I was like, I know it. It's okay. I wanted to run it, but there was nothing new. I wasn't learning anything new. I wasn't discovering anything. And this was happening the few days, maybe even weeks leading up to it. I remember back thinking that I was not learning anything new. I was just kind of like going through the motions and doing it. And this is the problem. It was a false sense of security. All right.
Yeah.
It was this feeling that, oh, it's okay. I got this. I've done this many times before. I know how to do it. I got it. But the truth is, it was dead. It was really dead in the water. It was time to move on to something new.
Yeah. Do you remember Miss Aston from school?
Yes.
Was said, don't have your monologues be an it'll do. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And it'll do as in like, it will do. It should be like, I want to work on it.
Yeah.
This isn't it'll do.
It'll do.
It like, if you start to feel that feeling, then I think it might be time to retire the monologue, or that it hasn't been working. If you have been doing
Yeah.
it and you're just kind of feeling this complacency with it,
Yeah.
then you kind of know,
It's time to move on.
Yeah.
And then there's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah. And a part of it is also, I think, the work that you do, because I I'll periodically get back. Speaking of to be or not to be, periodically I'll go back to Hamlet, and I'll just every single time I go back, there's something new. But of course, that's because it's Shakespeare. You know what I mean?
The man was a genius. So,
exactly, and you go
yeah.
back, and every single time something new pops up. But there are these pieces, and I think if you let it go for a while, like there was one piece I used to audition with a lot back in the early tens, 2011, 12, 13, 14 even, that I felt was on fire. It was a good piece. I could go to the depths, and I was kind of crazy, but then I wasn't wild. It was a really good piece, strong piece, and I didn't use it for a while because actually between 13 and 16 we were in school, so we were doing everything else.
Yeah.
And by the time I was out of school, I was like, crap, I need a monologue. Oh, what happened to that old monologue I used to have? And I read it, and I was like, no way. I can't even touch this. I can't even.
Yeah.
Look at this, because I was thinking and it's a pretty solid playwright. I think who was it? It wasn't Mamet. It was Albee. Edward Albee. It was an Edward Albee piece.
One of the greats.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I looked at it and I was like, I can't get anything out of this right now.
If you can't get something out of Albee, then your monologue has run its course.
It was run its course. It was used up. All right.
Yeah.
And I just remember that feeling of seeing it. And then there's other monologues where you're like, like today I have my little book here because I was writing down what monologues I remember. And like I said, I only had 6 or 7 of them off the top of my head. And these aren't even ones I'm working on currently. These are ones I remember that I even worked on. And there's this one from a play, and I'm like, wow, that was quirky and funny and weird, and it never really made sense to use it in an audition room because it's kind of against my type a little bit, or it's a little caricature-y. It's not, but I was like, I love that monologue. I could do that until I die.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of a situation. And this is I'm yapping on here, but that's the situation where I guess a monologue doesn't feel donezo, but I'm not sure whether it's working or not.
Yeah. But I mean, in that regard, maybe it's maybe you get the feedback by literally just asking your peers at that point, because it's like, I still love this monologue. I use it all the time. Now, the only thing that I'm second guessing myself on is just the length of time I've used it.
Yeah.
So maybe I could just be like, hey, like, yo, Jeff, can you just watch this? Like, tell me if this like works. That might be the answer to that.
Is it working to you?
I mean,
because I think it's a part of it. The monologue is a conversation with something or someone, right? Always, that's what we learn. Always is the monologue is a conversation. Either it's some people subscribe to it being with the audience, other people subscribe to it being with God, some people subscribe to it being with the fourth wall. But it's always the monologue is always a conversation with something or someone.
Yeah,
and I feel that once that conversation has kind of run its course, it's time to move on. And it's not always easy to see that in my own work. It's not always easy to see when that is finished, because I can keep conjuring up image. I mean, we are actors, we act, right? So I can keep conjuring up a gazillion different images of who I want to talk to and why I want to say this. But at some point, it's like, I think this might be dead. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what you said. You got to bring other people in for that, I think.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about the Dunzo idea too is, like, if I feel that I'm starting to deliver my monologues with shtick, as in like I'm starting to like know where the beats for something funny like is supposed to be, or I know this is the loud part, this is the angry part, better hit that, like, and do my angry face. These kind of feelings, that's where I know a monologue has run its course. And for me, I think you've actually even seen me do this monologue, because I did it a freaking lot in college, but it was the I Hate Hamlet monologue. I'm sure I did it at least once in front of you, because
I've seen it
at some point.
Yep.
And I remember, like, the thing is we've never talked about monologues like this. Like, I had that monologue for easily 2 years before school, and I still did it our third year of school.
Yeah.
Guess what? After I graduated, I freaking shelved that, dude. I haven't done that. I have not done that monologue.
You haven't?
Since.
Do you have it laying around?
I mean, I know it. as we were talking about, it's like I
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah.
And maybe in a way it'd be interesting to like actually dust it off now that I've taken a good 5-6 years away from it. But like I felt those feelings of like, dude, I know this. I know the beats now so well that like, what am I even doing? Like, I'm not playing with this anymore and it's not present anymore. I know the funny parts. I know the joke parts.
Yep.
And that's when I threw it away. And I actually, my new monologues that I use, I feel like I get so much more mileage out of them. And yet they're so much newer. Cause it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I hate
It's funny,
Hamlet.
but and it's a good monologue. It is. It's a good monologue.
It's not about. I think I'm going to challenge you. You ready?
Yeah.
End of the night before we go off, I will do Tony Ironica. If you do, if I hate Hamlet. You know who Tony Ironica is. Only you.
I'll do it. I swear to God, I'll do it if you do it. I'll do a monologue at the
Sounds
end.
good.
And I'll do that specific one. And
yes. I just figure I hate Hamlet sounds as sticky as Tony Ironica, so we might as well just give him a whirl. Right?
Why not? I mean, I know it. I literally haven't said the words in 5 years. I bet you I could still do it. That'll be the challenge. We'll see if we can get there.
Sounds flawless. All right, so let's go. Let's move on to our techniques for delivering monologues.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How does one even begin to go from this place of, oh, hi, it's me. I'm in this room. Nice to meet you, to plunging the emotional depths of yourself? What is it? How do we do this?
I mean, for me, you walk in the room, you do very brief pleasantries, right? And then you just take a beat and you make sure you're as relaxed as possible and you deliver it. Your eye line is just above the moderators in the room. And I actually love sticking to that because it's so technical.
Yeah.
We almost by giving myself that forum of like, keep your eye line here. Make sure that, if you're going to look around, keep it in this like cone, because once I do that, the limitations actually give me freedom to play. Then I know like what my rules are for playing. Because if you walk in the room, you do a monologue and you just like turn around and do it to the back wall. Like, we know that won't work. It's like not going to work. So like for me, it's, I know this is like acting 101, but just simply keeping myself relaxed, keeping that eye line just above my moderators, and then not being afraid to how do I want to say this? Not being afraid to not be completely relaxed is the way I'll word it. And what I mean by that is not being afraid to, if I have this impulse to roll my eyes or freaking take a moment over here, just do that. Like, that is a good thing. The name of the game is not who can be the most relaxed and the most actory. They want to see these natural impulses that you're doing. If you have this urge to move your hands or to just like take a moment here and just like do something like that, and it may seem fake because like I don't want to say it's planned, but it's like I'm just like doing these things. It may actually like really be working. You know what I mean? It may, these natural impulses, I don't know. I find that they fly very well. And I got kind of wordy there by the end, but that's what I would say.
I would tend to technique. Totally agree on that. Let me just triple check. I didn't mean to act weird toward the end here, but I think maybe we have an audio issue. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Yes, we must check that.
Nope, there was no audio issue. Everything was good.
Scary. Made my heart jumped a bit.
Heart jumped a bit. No, we're good to go. We're good to go. Yes, the same. I mean, there are some universal truths when it comes to the monologue and the audition situation, and even on the stage, depending on what monologue it is. I always try to bring in a little impulse, if that makes sense. I'll pick up an impulse in the room. So I'll try to, because this is, once again, you got to know it to a point where it's just second nature. You can do it in your sleep, and then everything's prepped. Whatever you needed to prep is ready, and then I'll walk in and I'll shake, do the pleasantries like you said. You'll say hi and take the moment to get into it. And before I go in and do it, I want to try to take in the people a little bit.
Yeah.
and see who's
who
in
you're
front of
acting
me.
to. So
Yes. And for some reason, there's nothing really tangible. I can't give you anything tangible specifically about it. It's just there's this one thing where I try to say to myself, this is my room. And they're here to see me do my play in my room. Yeah. And I try to pick up on a little something that energy is, and then launch into it. And it doesn't ever usually substantially change what I do, but sometimes I pick up some nice impulses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so funny.
Like, and it's simple. I'm sorry, but like, I'm trying to think of an example. But let's say the people sitting there will go, okay, and whenever you're ready, you know the drill. And then one of them will, kind of look down and pick up a pen, and I'll get pissed off at that person because I'll be like, you came to my show to see my show. And that'll launch me into my monologue. You know what I mean?
Picking up pens?
And it's not like exactly. Why would you sit there flipping a pen? Why would you?
I love that, dude.
And
that's great.
It's just a little impulse in the room that kind of launches me into it, if you will.
The energy of the moderators in audition situations absolutely affects the monologue, and I think using it is the best thing you can possibly do. Because I mean, I've had auditions where the moderator is just like, "Hello, Jeff, whenever you're ready."
Yeah,
and I've also had ones that were so warm you wouldn't even believe. They were like, oh, well, "Welcome, come in," and they shake my hand. They're like, "Please, what do you got for us today?" And it's like that kind of energy, and I'm like, "Dude, we're ready to act, baby." So
let's
like,
do this.
Can you even use that energy that we would label as negative? Can we be like, "Oh, he's here today"?
Yeah.
Well, that I happen to the monologue I'm doing feeds off that energy. Let's go. Like there's exactly. And I'm not saying be combative with the moderator.
No.
You nailed
You're
it.
still not looking anybody in the eye during your monologue.
you don't like look at the moderator and do it to him. No. Yeah, man. You nailed it.
Yeah, just a little something from the room, a little energy from the room. You might as well bring it in because it's a part of the show. It's a part of the performance,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. And on self-tapes.
I was just about to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do we think about self-tapes? How monologues on self-tapes?
For me personally, I make sure I'm actually about the frame that we have now, which is just above my head, and then right at chest level. So I keep them pretty intimate. Like I'm not like standing way far back.
Yeah, because we're talking movies here.
Yeah,
we're not talking theater.
And I deliver them like I'll look right at the camera. If it's like if the camera's here, like I'll deliver them.
Yeah,
just right here. And even if no one's there, like that's where my eye line is. You know what I mean? Just so ever so slightly off. And one technique that I've found in self-tapes that works so well and doesn't seem to really fly in I think in-person auditions is a bit of planning ahead of where you can find moments to actually move your face.
Yeah.
Like, and I know this goes against what we just said, which is like, you don't want to plan anything, but I'm telling you, like in self-tapes, if you just are talking here the whole time and you're just talking here the whole time, it may feel very present, but like it can be pretty boring in film. So knowing that there is one line where you think, man, there's a lot of passion behind this line. He gets really angry.
Yeah.
This will be my moment. I just take my monologue over here just for like a little bit, and then I come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know it breaks all the rules. We're not method acting anymore. I know, but like, I truly do think that like that dynamics of movement actually plays well on film.
Sure.
That's my own personal take.
I like that idea. I like the thought. And that's something I'm going to write down and shamelessly steal.
Because you should. You should.
Well, it's a thing though, and when it comes to me, it's funny because I when I talk to my on-camera acting students about this, I often say, you know, how you got to try to create some sort of space with the space you're in when you're auditioning like that, and it's the same concept, really. You know, if my partner's here, and there's my partner is over here, and then there's a screen up there where I'm awaiting the arrival of the person I love most in the world, then I'm going to work with my partner, and then I'm going to cast a glance up there every once in a while. You know, I'm going to give them the words that they need to hear, but I'm also occasionally going to kind of move. So I have something. Yeah. And the deeper those images are for me, the deeper I can get into it, the easier it is to self-tape. So it makes perfect. I'm stealing that. I'm taking it. I'm digging it.
Oh yeah, you should.
I'm assimilating it into myself now. You know, just plan a little bit. A little bit of planning is okay. It's cool because even with self-tapes, another thing is you have takes. You know, especially if you're alone, you're stuck by yourself. You don't have anybody to work on. There's some sort of pandemic running rampant in the world.
Yeah, maybe, you know,
it could happen. I'm just saying it could happen, and you end up by yourself. You have takes, you know what I mean, and you're not necessarily getting crazy about it, but you have the opportunity to look. And also, one thing I do about self tapes as well is, and I also teach this. It's funny because you're gonna laugh when I tell you where I got this from. I got this one from Bob Ross, and the real Bob Ross,
the man,
the actual man. Because so I heard a rumor. Now I'm from a documentary that Bob Ross was so nervous when he was going to first start doing his paintings on camera in front of the crew that he envisioned talking to a lover, somebody who he's very intimate with and very close with. And usually as actors, we do that. We talk to we envision, we do all these things, but on a self-tape, it's often, to me, it feels so artificial and weird. And I end up like, I'll visualize maybe my partner, but maybe my partner's a fish, you know what I mean? Or maybe my partner is something completely insane. Like it's a 105-year-old man who is on his deathbed, or maybe it's, you know what I mean? And there's but really what I need is intimacy. What I really need is the closeness, right?
Yeah.
And that has saved my ass so many times on a self-tape, because I'd be like, why am I'm doing this tape over and over and it's just dead. I'm not in it. I don't see why I'm not in the scene. And then as soon as I tune in somebody really close, somebody really intimate, then, and I mean, I'm not going to say I have not taped pictures of people next to the camera.
I have actually done that, believe it or not. Yeah.
And it works. It does. It really works. And it's like you said, it's one of those technical things that's like bad work, you professional method actor, but it's an artificial situation. You just got to do what you can do and be truthful, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's so true. And I'll say, the one last technique I thought of, I think I learned this from Victor from our school. Oh my gosh.
Victor Almanzar.
Thank you.
Check him out.
What a champ.
What a profile. Yes, he's done a lot of good work also as of late. Recently, even.
Recently in Medea at BAM before the pandemic.
Yep. You'll see him in an episode of Homeland. He's an amazing soldier who does a lot of good work on Homeland.
Like, just excellent work.
Shout out to Victor Almanzar. He's a lovely human being.
But he said this either to me or in our class and I was in, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was him who said, when you start your self-tape, start it with movement, and don't like, here's your frame, and then it's like, to be or not to be, that is the question. He said it plays to either maybe you're over here and you like then start talking to them. Or do you start with a sip of water, but as long as that's in the text, don't start doing crazy stuff. But is there some sort of movement that you can start with? Because that's more interesting than like fade into your self-tape. You're just staring blankly. Like a bit of movement can actually give your monologue a bit of life on film, I'll say.
That's
I don't know if you've ever heard that, but or if you remember that. But,
I'm stealing that too. It's going in the book.
It's a good one. Just a little bit of movement, whatever it is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Good advice. That was a really good one. Thank you, Victor. And if anybody's wondering, Victor is on Instagram. Victor Almanzar Kazik, Kazike. He does this crazy alter ego thing. He's a really cool dude.
Very talented actor.
Yep.
Definitely someone to watch. Yeah.
All right. So are you ready? Are you prepared to end this evening? I feel that we were kind of leading towards it. I mean, we got to do it somehow at some point.
We're coming to the end here, man. So,
who gets the honor and pleasure of going first?
Dude, if you do it, I'll do it.
All right. I'll go. You ready?
And don't feel the need to do the whole thing if you just want to do part of it.
I'm gonna just do. Cool, yeah, let me just do it. I'm gonna just do what I can remember.
Yeah.
All right. I was in my car outside this place. Over the weekend, I had a couple drinks. I was feeling a little fuzzy, so I was waiting till it cleared. It was dark. I was just sitting there, and then this unknown girl got in. She just got in the car, and then she started talking to me. She started rapping to me about the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, their economy, housing, TASS, the Gulag, everything about the Soviet Union. She must have talked for 2 good hours. Russian paranoia, tanks, why they need American wheat. And I'm sitting there and I'm taking this in. The Trans-Siberian Railroad, what kind of tanks they got in Eastern Europe. Why they need American wheat. I already said that, but I'll say it again. And then she was finished. She told me everything she knew. So I took her in the back seat and I banged her. And you know what? You know something? It was the best. It was the best I ever had. And it wasn't because she knew all the tricks or nothing like that. It was because she told me about the Soviet Union. And then she left. Now, here's the thing. She was very ugly. I don't even want to talk about how she looked. Mucho ugly. I didn't ever think I could be with a woman like that. But it came out of, whatever, happenstance. All right? And it was. It happenstance. Right? So you see what I'm coming for here? I'm 32 years old. I'm 32 years old, Linda. I want to change. That's Tony. That's what I remember from Tony. Tony Aronica.
Dude, that was so excellent. What a treat, man. Thank you for dusting that off.
I missed that terrible asshole.
I so enjoyed that when I saw that live, man.
What a guy. That's
It's so good, still good. You still got it in you, man.
I was thinking about canning it, but I'm not going to can it. I love that guy too much. He's too much of an idiot, man. He's too much of a fucking knucklehead. Oh, I love Tony Aronica.
Dude, that was great, man. Dude, that was excellent. That was really cool.
Oh, your turn. You go. See, I go, you go. What's that? You hate Hamlet. Why do you hate Hamlet?
Last night, right from the start, I knew I was bombing. I sounded big and phony, real thee and thou. Oh, and then I started rushing it. Hi, what's new in Denmark? I just could not connect. I couldn't get a hold of it. And while I'm babbling, I look out. There's this guy in the second row, a kid. He's like 16, obviously dragged there. And he is yawning and jiggling his legs, reading his program. And I'm like, hey, kid, I get you. I can't stand this either. But I couldn't say that. So I just keep feeling worse and worse, just drowning. And then I thought, okay, this is it. All my questions are answered. I'm not Hamlet. I'm no actor. What am I doing here? And then, I get to the soliloquy. This is the big job. I'm right in the headlights and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, let's just do it. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. And I got through it. I finished the speech and I looked out and there's that kid and he's listening. The entire audience, complete silence, total focus. And I was Hamlet. And that lasted for about 15 seconds. And then I was back in hell and I stayed there. But for that one bit, that one speech, I got it. I had it. Hamlet. Oh, and only, 8,000 lines left to go? And that's it. I haven't done that, dude, in 5 years. So I hope there was something there. I have no idea.
Oh man, this is fun dusting off these old monologues. You were Hamlet. I
haven't done that in 5 years, man. That was a treat.
Highs and your lows, and I love that.
Isn't it funny how it stays with you?
Oh, it does.
In a weird way.
It does. My body just went right back into it when it does stick for sure. And this might be why we didn't dust these things off, because it's just. I love it so much, but it's just so used.
Yes, you know dude, you nailed it. How more simple can you put it? It's just, that's it. And the thing is I'll always have it on the back burner if there's ever an emergency, in the same way that you were like, Jeff, let's do it at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, I know it.
Yeah, why the hell not?
But I can tell you that I will never actively choose that monologue just because it's so used for me. Used is the right word.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Well, I think, what did we do today even, man? We challenged ourselves. We asked some questions and we answered a few, hopefully.
Broke down monologues honestly, this is the most I've ever broken them down, like ever. Like to really like think about choosing them, practicing them, and knowing if they're working or not. Like, yeah, dude, this episode, this is a good one.
I'm feeling nice. Let's pat ourselves on the back once again.
Yeah, dude.
I'm feeling good about that. I'm feeling strong with that. All right. I think if you're speaking of which, I'm completely set. Just doing monologues feels nice. I'm feeling like I want to get up out of my chair and do more things. If you're
soon the pandemic will be over.
Soon it'll be over. We'll be back out of our chairs, back on the floor. Ooh, it's going to be great. If you are watching right now and you haven't done any, thing of the sort, you should probably hit the subscribe button, because if you made it pretty far into this, I mean, you've made it pretty far with us, even if you're watching this on demand or listening or whatever you may prefer to do. You got to probably hit the subscribe button at this point, because you've been with us so far. I think you're stuck.
I mean, we're friends now.
Exactly.
At this point. So
one of us. One of us. That's all I have to say. All right, Jeff, any closing words for us this evening before we wrap it up?
Just some final thoughts on monologues. Just, have fun with them and do ones that you're passionate about. And I think that's the best way to really make them soar. And that's it. That's my final thought on it. Yeah.
Learn your words, get them out of the way so you can do your work.
That's it.
That's what we got for you tonight. I hope it's just what you needed specifically. Thank you very much for joining us, for hanging out with us this evening. I'm Ray Karada-Knudsen, Jeff Gorsica. We'll see you again soon on A Craft Evolved. Good night.